Are we live? I think we're
We
live.
are live.
I can't tell if anything is working anymore.
I mean, as long as you're here and it's not just me, that's a good thing.
Would just tell me if like I get super fuzzy or if the audio doesn't sound right.
Totally.
Can you hear the generator?
I can hear the faint hum in the background.
So like, you know, on the one hand, I really shouldn't complain. We're very lucky to have a generator and, you know, certain things in the house, but the power is still out. The generator hasn't been the most reliable, and it's just like that storm. All right, you know, wait, I'll tell you the story, but can we open the beers first?
Yeah, sure. I have
ready
a jalapeno. Wait, hold on. I'm doing it. I have a jalapeno flavored beer that came from Colorado. It's a Pilsner, so I'm very curious how they're going to do this flavor.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Don't worry. I took care of that. There you go.
It went. I needed the paper towel. Wait, so is that beer spicy?
We're going to find out. I mean, like, so it's a Pilsner, so I want it to be not too spicy and still kind of taste the beer flavor.
And the verdict is...
It's not that spicy.
Okay.
It's actually good. Like I got the whiff of jalapeno the minute I like put it to my mouth, and I was like, "Oh no!" But okay. Yeah, no, I'm okay with this. Yeah, I can do this. It's not overpowering the heat.
Could I handle it?
I don't. It's very like a Pilsner kind of has like a really plain European beer taste. I don't know if you would like that to begin with. It's a little tartar and sour when it comes to like lager flavors.
Maybe I'll pass. So. Back to Storm Story. So Tuesday, I had 2 junkets, Matt.
Right.
Right in the middle of the first one is when the remnants, I can't remember if it was a tropical storm or like a low-grade hurricane at that point, but it blew through New York. And I swear, this storm felt like it only lasted like 2-3 hours. There was barely any rain. There was a lot of wind, but we still don't have power from it. There's trees down all over the place, but
that's well, that's the thing. Like, comes down to like the wind itself, because that's what it's going to knock out all those power lines and it's going to knock all the trees down and stuff like that. So, I mean, I traded hurricanes for earthquakes, so like we both got to live with our situations right now.
Yes, so I'm like so on edge all the time. So every time the generator like sputters out, it makes a very specific sound. And I feel like
so you know when it's coming.
Start hearing that sound in my sleep though. And every single time I see a light flicker, even the tiniest bit, like my heart drops.
Well, how'd you get the other junkets done then when you were not doing?
I mean, like, God help Thad editing that footage first.
Okay.
Everybody will be able to notice that I was having a problem. So what I did was because we have the generator, I was still able to keep my phone charged and keep this ring light on. And I did both junkets entirely on my cell phone, which was, okay. I mean, some people actually do that. I don't, because I like the better camera and I like to have the microphone and everything, but I did all of the junkets that way. The other problem that I think is making this a lot worse for us is that our house is situated in a cell service dead zone. And I think also the networks are probably overloaded with everything. So for the past 3 days, I keep going to a street corner where I know I can get a couple of bars. So I've literally been like, sitting on the curb
just to get your internet fixed, to get that Wi-Fi in.
That's exactly that's what I've been doing.
I mean, I should thank you because I took your idea for doing like video camera interviews to do the Rob Savage interview for Host, the director of Host.
I ask you about that.
Yeah, it was great. Do you want to hear a fun tidbit that I learned?
Please do.
It's not a spoiler at all, but like. You know how all the actors kind of had to be their own cinematographers, obviously, because like they're all filming socially distancing, and also it's webcam stuff. I found out that nothing was recorded on a computer. What they did is, you didn't know about this? Yeah, so the Velcro.
Literally, the only reason I knew about it was because someone sent me an image that one of the actors shared on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I was able to see.
So from that, I asked him and I was like, how did you like get those shots? Like Emma's screen specifically. And Emma was kind of like half on the screen the whole time. Like she was always a little bit lower. And that one perfect shot of the eye, just like one eye through the blanket, just like this, and it's perfectly framed. I'm like, how'd you do that? And Rob was like, that was a complete accident because Emma couldn't figure out how to get the dimensions right with the laptop here and the camera above it. So if she had done it properly, we never would have had that shot because it would have been her whole face. But the fact that she didn't know how to do, not know how to do, but like she kept trying to gauge like the iPhone being behind the laptop, it actually gave us like the best shot of the film.
I like that. I love that movie. I can't stop thinking about it. And I love how it's like really taking off on social media too. People can't stop talking about it.
We did I saw it for the review, obviously. So I saw it like beginning of last week. And then I have a normal Zoom call with some friends on Saturday. And we all turned our lights out and we put candles on and we all watched Host together. And it was so fun. It was perfect. It was the perfect experience.
Right before my power went out, there's a couple other East Coasters on the Collider team when we were having our staff meeting, and someone's power got affected before mine, and it was just like this perfect host-like moment where we're all on this call talking, and all of a sudden, like, you see her lights go off and like her look up, and then it freezes and she cuts out.
Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah, everyone's having those moments now, and that's all I'm going to think of whenever I'm on a Zoom call now and like something glitches out. It's going to be Host. I'm just going to think.
I'm probably going to be in the same boat. We have a very important super chat right now. There are 2 birthdays in the PNME Patreon house this week. Yesterday, it was Evan's birthday, and today it's Christy's birthday. So Evan, another happy birthday to you. Christy, happy birthday. I hope you are having a great day celebrating. And another big thanks to Luke here for making this his super chat. That's mighty kind of you. And I'm so happy we could all like be here tonight and chill out and celebrate your birthdays. I hope you guys are having good ones because you deserve it.
Don't jinx it before you lose your power.
I will.
No, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
In the Collider work Slack, I think literally every single time I've popped in to be like it's back. I'm back. Like 2 seconds later, I'm gone.
2 seconds, yeah.
I owe them big time. They've been very patient with me, and I've been like all over the place too. So,
it's not only you.
I know it's out of my control, but you know, I feel bad about fucking everything.
Yes, I do know that.
Can I tell you about another thing I feel really bad about right now?
Sure.
Right before I got this up and running, I was looking at the comments on my Lovecraft Country review, and I mixed up. I said the wrong name, and I am going to redo it. I'm very, very, very upset with myself, and you're rolling your eyes at me, but. So what I did,
no, because we all do it. I'm not rolling my eyes at that. Like
So Courtney B. Vance is in the show, and I said his name the first time, and later on in the review, I said Sterling K. Brown, and I know it's not the end of the world, but I have to fix it because it's not fair to Courtney B. Vance, who delivers an excellent performance, and also I'm just like. It's not cool. I did it the other week. I did it 1 week on this show when we were talking about, like, I can't remember who we were talking about, but I mix up Toby Huss and Dennis O'Hare all the time.
Yeah, but like then I mixed up the other that same episode. I think I said like A History of Violence instead of the other title that I'm blanking on now. It's like that stuff happens all the time though.
Something about names to me feels more wrong. Like I get it. Away from
No. I totally get it. And again, I do that same kind of stuff too. Like there's no worse feeling than when you think you've written something perfect and it was like a 2,000 word piece. And all I did was switch someone's name in it. And I said the right name 7 times. I said the wrong name 1 time. And that's the thing that every commenter was like, oh, well, obviously you don't know what you're talking about because you said, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's less about the person who pointed it out to me because they weren't like mean about it. It's more, I have a very, very hard time with everything figuring out when to be hard on myself because I did something wrong and when to just like fix something and move on.
I mean, the answer is always fix something and move on. You weren't specifically mixing people. Like, come on.
No.
We all make mistakes. And also, like...
Of course I wasn't.
No, but, like, also, you know, this is the importance of editors for everyone that wants that behind-the-scene glimpse of, like, we should never, as a writer, I should never be allowed to publish anything on my own. Because...
Some of the most traumatic moments I've had are revisiting articles that I wrote at the very beginning of my career doing this.
100%. Never look back. I've only looked forward from like the last like 2 or 3 years. I go back to some of my early stuff and it sounds like a different version of me. And like, I mean that in a good way because I really found like I found a much better voice and I've become a better writer. But when you look back 8 years, you learn a lot of things over 8 years and you work with a lot of people over 8 years that make you way better if you're doing this the right way.
I really need, like, I need to take a cue from you. And not that I'm always negative when I look back on my work, but I need to like take my past work and even my current mistakes and like morph that into something good. That's actually, so I chat with Evan on Slack all the time because he's part of the Patreon campaign. And like, he has such a cool outlook as far as, you know, whereas I am inclined to put a negative spin on everything, he always has this way of rephrasing it and looking at it in a fresh way to build upon it and make it a positive thing. And he's given me that lesson more times than I can count. And I just got to keep it in there.
No, 100%. And that's the way successful people think. I mean, the way successful people think is when they fail, it's why did I fail and how do I not do this again? Or, you know, for me, it's kind of, I'm not saying I'm like super successful or anything, but when I get a pitch rejected, I don't go to the internet or go on Twitter and cry about my pitch getting rejected. I figure out why that pitch got rejected. I figure out why my work wasn't good enough for that website. And I come back half a year later, a better writer, and I get accepted. Like that's the thing. You can let these negative things weigh you down and stop you, or you can look at these things and go, okay, I wasn't good enough at this point. Now I'm going to get good enough and do it. That's all there is.
'Tis the pep talk I needed. And have no fear, guys. I'm going to republish the Lovecraft Country review right after this episode.
Nice.
I
haven't yet.
Okay.
We just, I was talking to Amelia before this, and we're going to tag team the reviews. Like every episode, we're going to post a review. So
that's going to be fun. So like you're going to do recap review type things?
Yeah. So she's going to start because I'm a little busy right now, and then I'm going to take over because she's going to be busy after that. So we're taking care.
It's a very cool show to kind of like chronicle all the way through.
Yeah. So it's all fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I've been reading a lot of good stuff about it. All the breaks today seem to be pretty into it, and it's a good thing.
I like quite a bit.
Wait, hold on. There's one other super chat that I want you to get to really quick because I'm effing curious.
Oh, I see it. Ian, I'll pop you, Matt. I have a fiery Cheeto fiery Cheeto sour beer?
Like, I'm trying to find it right now because I want to try that so bad.
That's cool.
Like, I'm looking it up to see who makes it. Ian, tell me who makes that. And if I have it in my area, I am so going to find that because that's up my alley. I like the beer drop I got with this. Like, this one came with like, it was like 12 cans, 6 other kinds. And my other flavors include, cilantro lime ale, tangerine cream ale, key lime pie velvet IPA milkshake, vanilla milkshake IPA, blueberry lemon wheat, and then peanut butter ale.
Dude.
Like that's my stuff. That's my jam. I go for the weird flavors.
Those flavors all sound like you too.
Every single one of them. Every one of them is me.
We got another super chat in the house. Also from a team member over on the Patreon channel, it is Caleb, and Caleb is wishing Christy a happy birthday. Christy, again, happy birthday. Caleb, thank you. And also, Caleb, that's mighty kind. I appreciate you giving your super chat to Christy here. Everyone here is so cool. Hello, the T-Money 35. Hello, Red Hood 23. You guys are always here, and we really appreciate it.
Should we talk about, like,
title
movie
topic?
stuff? Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to do movie stuff? I don't know. We can do whatever.
About my generator?
You want to. You seem to have a lot of things on your mind about this generator, so if you need an outlet.
Let's talk about the title topic, which is Mulan.
Mm-hmm.
So that news breaks that Mulan is going to Disney Plus at a cost of $29.99. What did you think, Matt? Were you surprised, or did you think that it was bound to wind up there?
I am a little surprised. I feel like, okay, so I'm more surprised. Actually, no, I'm not surprised. I take that all back because the international is where I think Mulan was going to do the best.
Yeah.
Internationally, it can open. So they can open internationally and then just go $30 VOD in the States because we cannot have good things right now. And I think that actually, now that I think about it, I was going to say I'm surprised. I'm not. I'm not, because that actually makes sense.
I have a question, though. Like,
go ahead.
Rethink where your mind was at in March, April, when we were talking about movies shifting release dates. At that point, did you have any sort of feeling that, like, really big money makers, like potential billion-dollar movies at the box office, were going to land on Disney Plus?
At the time, my entire thing that I was saying is I think people were too optimistic that theaters were going to open in early summer as they wanted them to. I think we were all too optimistic at the time that this was going to blow over. And this is the reality that I was warning about setting in. This is the reality of studios saying, well, guess what? We're not going to be back in theaters for a long time at this point, in America at least. So guess what? They got to make their money somehow, and something like Mulan, where it can do most of its money internationally and then hit theater or hit screens in America, it fits.
Give me that bottle cap. Sorry, Dewey's on the desk. I don't blame them for doing this one bit. I think there is definitely a side of it where it is incredibly unfortunate that a movie like this is not going to get seen on the big screen, at least here in the States. I think the choice to make a Mulan live action movie was a wonderful move from Disney, and it hurts me that it's not getting that kind of release for that reason. But this situation is such an extreme anomaly where so many jobs and companies are on the line. And I know Disney has a lot of money in deep pockets, but they have to keep their business up and running in some way. And given how long this is going on, it was only a matter of time before one of the biggest of the big releases that they had on the calendar for 2020 was going to wind up on the streaming service. And honestly, I don't like being doom and gloom, but I wouldn't be surprised if things don't turn around fast with the pandemic here. I wouldn't be surprised if the next movies that have this happen are Black Widow and Soul.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best prime to do it. And I mean, people in the chat right now are talking Tenet, obviously, Wonder Woman 1984. And the Disney movies have a better way of doing it because they have their own streaming service and they have their own platform where they can still maintain the profitability and do this themselves. Where those other films, they would just go VOD and it would just be a general VOD. So I still think that the Disney ones are the ones that are most prominent and the ones that are going to keep doing it if we get to that point. I think the Tenets are going to be pushed and pushed and pushed. I think Wonder Woman is going to be in a theater, but also, when you look at something like Mulan, that's still going to be a quote-unquote family movie. And the family movies are ones that are VOD ready because you have families that might rent them once or twice. And you have families that will be way more into renting them on VOD for $30 because they're saving the extra $100 it would have taken to get their whole family to a theater. It's like having the troll conversation all over again, where those are the ones that make sense. I'm iffy on Black Widow. I don't know if Black Widow would, only because superhero movies, they do so well in the box office, and I think they might want to retain that.
I think it depends how long this carries on for. If we're talking about the rest of the calendar year at the box office, almost being obliterated, I don't think they're going to wind up with a choice. No matter how big your studio is, you need to have a source of income, and that might be the way to do it. And I brought this up when I was chatting with Matt Goldberg today, but in addition to the strange situation we're in, all of these entities are still taking part in the streaming wars, and they're trying to use this time to their benefit. And, if you look at Disney playing the Black Widow card on Disney Plus,
Right.
And I see that as being a move that could make someone out there choose to give up another streaming service if they weren't already signed up for Disney Plus in order to get that subscription and get the access to that movie there.
Well, and then you also think about, what's the one Harry Potter's leaving? Is Harry Potter leaving HBO or Disney? I forget.
I didn't read up on that. I would assume it would be HBO because.
Okay.
What do you know the general of that story? And then I'll.
Well, yeah, basically the contracts are running out because it's all of these streaming services, and I'm just to the point of like losing properties to another streaming service and getting all grabbed up and all that stuff. So yeah, so Harry Potter's leaving HBO Max. Like HBO Max comes out the gate and says, "All right, we got all the Harry Potter movies." And how long later they've already lost the contracts to Peacock, and Peacock's coming in now. They can tout that they all have all the Harry Potters. And that shifting is going to keep happening. And like, yeah, I think Disney is kind of saying like, all right, well, stick with us. We might not have the Harry Potters and stuff like that, but we're going to have the Mulans and we're going to have our movies at least. So
this is very different. So not pertaining to Harry Potter, but do you remember when news broke that a bunch of the DC movies were leaving HBO Max? I think back in, I don't know, like June or maybe the beginning of July. I can't figure out time anymore, but everyone was freaking out about it. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that HBO Max isn't the only HBO entity, and some of those other HBO elements, like they've made deals, or at least the studio has licensed those movies, and those windows are kind of like overlapping in weird ways. And it's not a matter of HBO Max failing and losing the rights to things. It's like the window has closed and opened somewhere else, but they will be back. This is not that though. I mean, I know. The first article I pulled up here, I'm looking at The Verge right now, and they're saying that the report came from Vulture and that apparently Harry Potter is going to Peacock, and the deal was worth as much as $250 million. A last-minute deal between the two companies in May allowed HBO Max to debut with the Harry Potter films for its first 3 months, but now NBC Universal is taking custody of the films once again.
So bonkers. But I think the value of all these streaming platforms is being tested tremendously because everyone has that to fall back on. I mean, even something as simple as the Jurassic Park movies going back to Netflix, like that's something they can now claim and they stole from another streaming service. And it's so weird I don't know. But like, I think going back to the actual VOD aspect of all this, I feel like a film that really loses out is Antebellum, which is literally being marketed now as Well, it's being marketed as like the big screen event of the year now on VOD. And it's kind of like, it's basically saying like, this is the movie you should have seen on a big screen, and now you're going to see it on your small TV.
I don't want to make it seem like I am like belittling or taking away from a filmmaker's intention to have their movie screened on the big screen, or the value that comes from seeing certain stories being told worldwide on the biggest screen possible. But I get the feeling that Antebellum might catch on even stronger as at-home viewing. I just like imagine that being like an obsessive concept where people want to like not just watch that once, but watch it over and over. I have this feeling that one is going to catch on especially strong when it's just a click away. Not that I'm saying it wouldn't have in the theaters, but I think this one has a good chance of making a big impression.
And I hope so. I mean, I do hope that good comes from it. And, all this stuff going to VOD, like, it makes sense. Like, things like Green Knight are still sitting around. And Lindsay just said in the chat, like, what's going to happen to Candyman at this point? Because Candyman took over the Halloween slot. And I think Candyman, because of Antebellum, I think Candyman's next. I think that's going to get straight VOD as we get closer. They're still hoping. They're still holding out that. Well,
the selfish, greedy person here is like, just give it to me one way or the other. I want to see it so badly, but I don't know. My heart hurts for them as creators too. I just did my very first interview on this YouTube channel the other day. Did you watch American Pickle yet?
I did not.
It was good. I liked it a lot. Like I liked it far more than I was anticipating.
Okay.
But I spoke to one of the young actors in it, and it's basically her first studio film, and she was saying that, you know, there's disappointment after all that it's not going to be a big theatrical release, but you know, she was well aware of the fact that it would reach a whole bunch of audiences this way, and that we need content right now, and you know, like having stuff like that is like might be more important now than ever. I just like keep harping on the fact too that I feel like because we're all so, you know, we're also like stressed and on edge and confused and uncertain. Like movies have been my rock, whether it's an escapism rock or trying to process all the crazy things that we're going through right now type of rock. But yeah. I don't want to blow it out of proportion, because a movie is just a movie. There's more important things in the world. But this, like the storytelling that I've seen over the past couple of months really has made a difference in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and we're contextualizing things that beforehand would not have had the same context. Like Palm Springs being a time loop thriller is now way more relevant because we're living the same goddamn lives every day. Or like She Dies Tomorrow is now a pandemic thriller because it fits perfectly into what is happening right now. I mean, life imitates art imitates life without knowing it. Like it goes back to all that stuff. But yeah, it does become, I mean, right here, like looking at the chat right now, Songbird, Still Waiting on St. Maud, Jerry Garza, Where's Antlers? I mean, these are all films that are even on like a lower level, I would say, than Antebellum, but like they're still waiting out. It's just so weird which ones are taking the plunge.
I have a feeling a significant amount of them are going to take the plunge soon. But it's funny because you bring up Palm Springs and She Dies Tomorrow. We had like the opposite experiences with those, where I think you saw She Dies Tomorrow pre-pandemic, and I saw Palm Springs pre-pandemic. And Palm Springs, I loved when I saw it at Sundance. It was one of my favorite movies coming out of the festival. Yeah. But it hit me like 10 times harder watching it at home during quarantine. And Amelia's got another one right
Yeah, that one. That one too.
Young Woman. I friggin' love that movie. Carey Mulligan is so good. Everything about that movie. I just fell hard for at Sundance, and I want the world to see it.
Yeah, I'm really waiting for that. I'm waiting for that to complete the trilogy of like Swallow, Invisible Man, and then Promising Young Woman. I think that is going to play very well all together.
Yeah. What are you, just to go back to Mulan a little bit, what do you think about the movie's chance of breaking even?
I mean, do we know the budget on it? Like, you're better with that stuff than I am. I'm just curious, but like,
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I have a feeling it's 200 million.
That makes sense.
Google says 200 million here. Yeah, and Wikipedia says 200 million, but you know, also worth keeping in mind, 200 million is probably a production budget, and then, you know, tack on 50 plus million for marketing.
I say yes. Are we wait, hold on. Are we talking international or domestic? Like, what are we talking here? I'm talking everything. I think it's fine. I don't think Disney would put it out if they didn't know, or they didn't have a good inclination that international was going to do well enough to to basically pick up the slack of domestic VOD.
I guess. I mean, I guess it's just how you define fine. I really don't think that there is any chance in this world that it comes anywhere close to the amount of money that it would have made had it had a traditional.
Of course not. No, that's the reality of it, though. And nothing coming out now. If you're taking the plunge, you're not going to make what you were going to make. You're just basically admitting, like, all right, we need to get this out here, capitalize on what we have, and do it.
One thing that I'm really hoping comes of all this is that we get the box office like the version of Box Office Mojo that pertains to PVOD releases, or they add that menu to Box Office Mojo, even though I'm still hating on Box Office Mojo right now. But
the new one, it's so bad.
I never got over that. I was always like,
it was so easy to use. It was perfect, and now it's unusable.
My mentality was always like, chill out. You hate it right now because it's a new thing, but you'll get used to it. But no, it never got any better. But anyway, I think
I got used to I got used to the new Twitter. I got used to new like Facebook and all this stuff. Yeah. I'm not used to new Box Office Mojo. Go ahead.
That was the end of Box Office Mojo. I mean, not the end, because I still do need it for a resource, but it was close to the end of it for me. I forgot what I was going to say.
Shit, sorry. I didn't mean to. I just got very heated about Box Office Mojo.
My mind is all over the place right now. But pertaining to Mulan's chances, I was reading this really interesting breakdown that Variety had where they use the reported numbers for trolls and they applied that to Mulan's chances plus the $10 extra it'll cost to rent the movie. And God, I forget what the actual stats were. I might have them here in my notes, but it would be a very significant amount of subscribers. Okay, wait, I actually do have the data here.
Yeah.
I found this so interesting, I wrote it down. So here it is. All right, so plus 10 more. So to earn back the budget of the movie alone, Mulan apparently would need 6.7 million rentals, which is just over 11% of Disney Plus subscribers, which is a good chunk of subscribers there. And then if you tack on a projected marketing budget as well, you're looking at a number close to 13.8% of subscribers. And that we're just talking about breaking even. And also, we haven't even talked about ancillary markets and how those are impacted by the fact that there is no theater to at home release window and everything's just coming out at once.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But then also, we are in the pandemic and people need something to do. And again, all these households with if you think about a household that has 3 kids and 2 adults, they only have one Disney Plus subscription anyway. So it's no matter what they were going to do, it's always going to be one rental. Maybe they want to watch, but if you have kids that love it, your $30 you spend on one Saturday to show your kids, and maybe they demand it the next Saturday. All right, cool. Let's pay another $30 to keep the kids quiet. It's still so much cheaper. I don't know.
The other thing worth keeping in mind with this release strategy is Disney doesn't have to share the profits. Disney keeps.
That's what I was saying before with Disney having this in their pocket.
Yeah, and the other thing that we won't really see the value of for some time is that by doing this again in the streaming wars, they might be able to accumulate more subscribers this way long term, which could make a big difference.
Okay, so a question from Schwartz user. By being on a subscriber service, additional 30 aside, will any subscription money or rights money be counted towards the Mulan money? I mean, it's fair.
If I were running the Box Office Mojo for PVOD stats, I would not count that because Mulan is costing people an additional $30. That is Mulan money. And it's, realistically, how would they ever, I guess there's behind the scenes.
We don't know I was going to say, we don't know what Netflix is doing though. They're making up their own metrics and reporting their own numbers. So
that's the other problem. We need a third party service that's giving us this data, and we don't have that. And who knows if we'll ever have that. But, the other thing I was talking about with Matt earlier, with Matt Goldberg from Collider, is that what's happening right now is basically putting something that was going on in the industry to begin with on the fast track, which was the fight between studios and theater chains to see a smaller window between theatrical release and at-home viewing. This is forcing it into the equation. Now they have no choice, and that is going to have the most lingering effects after this, where it is going to completely reshape the theatrical distribution landscape. I'm getting another beer.
You can get another beer. That's fine. But yeah, that's the whole Universal and AMC thing.
A beer just appeared at my door.
Magic. Did your mom bring that up? Please tell me your mom brought that.
They just came up from dinner and they put this at my door.
Oh, they could actually eat dinner tonight on the table and not be forced off of it.
Before we continue this conversation, we haven't even addressed the fact that we're not going to play beer pong tonight. Given how shitty my connection has been the last 2 weeks, I didn't think it was worth testing it tonight with everything that's going on. So, and you know what's the sad thing is the storm happened on Tuesday, and we had an appointment to get the internet connection in the house checked on Wednesday. And of course, with no power, they had to cancel. And at least this beer is cold.
My beer's cold too. Actually, okay, my beer's getting a little warmer at this point because it's been out, and the spiciness is getting spicier. The coldness was like canceling it out a little bit, but it's getting a bit spicier now. And this is like a 16 ouncer. So I'm like, how much longer till this one is done?
It's so nice to have a cold beer. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Mulan, or should we talk about the other big story that dropped this week?
The only thing I want to say is we were talking about streaming before, and we were talking about how it might benefit smaller films that now go to Netflix or something of that nature. And I still struggle with that because there is that brilliant roundtable for last award season, and Scorsese was on it, and so was Lulu Wang. Mm-hmm. Both directors of very tremendous films that came out in the same year, The Irishman and The Farewell. And they were both asked about their experiences. Not their specific experience, but both asked about like the benefits of going streaming versus going theatrical. And Scorsese, of course, is an established person who got how many million to make The Irishman, was given full creative control, and he was very pro. He was just like, yeah, it was great. I worked with Netflix. It was so amazing. They let me do whatever I want, stuff like that. And it was like, I think everyone should do it because then it goes on Netflix and it's totally fine. Like that was his general consensus. And then like Lulu Wang sitting there going kind of like, yeah, no, like no one knows my name. No one knew who I was. And I went with A24 because a streaming service is going to take your content and throw it out into a library and it's just there. They're not going to promote you. They're not going to promote the filmmaker. Your content is just part of a larger library that now exists. And she's like, I denied that myself and I took the A24 route because they actually care about the filmmaker and like putting more into it than just here's content. Like A24, we make fun of them as like the meme-based distribution service. Like they sell these candles and they do all this ridiculous stuff, like the Uncut Gems stuff selling for like thousands of dollars, whatever. But in the same respect, like they go all in on their films. Everyone knows the Safdie brothers' name. Everyone knows Lulu Wang now because of what they did for The Farewell. And I think some filmmakers that are smaller and go right to this VOD route are going to lose out because of it.
I think that's definitely possible, but I think that's also something that might go hand in hand with the changing landscape, is that's just how we're trained to look at releases right now. That could change over time, but I'm just trying to look at both sides of it. I totally understand that concern, and right now that is a very possible reality for a filmmaker who chooses to release their movie on a streaming platform. Yeah. The other sad possibility, I think, with everything that's happening right now is that, I mean, if we're on this track where no doubt the window between a theatrical release and a streaming or at-home purchase release is closing, you know what movies are going to lose out on the big screen more often than not? It's going to be low and mid-budget movies. The theatrical experience is only going to be for the movies that could make $750 million plus.
You mean how, like, they're just going to go away? You mean if it gets bad enough, how?
I mean, I don't think they're going to go away. I think they're going to have great opportunity in a PVOD and streaming structure. But given the hit that theaters are taking right now, how can they support much more than the big money makers?
They can't. That is the big issue. I think the general consumer may see a smaller window as, oh, great, I get these things in my home now quicker. And that's not a great thing.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to understand that. There's a reason why it's being sold as this big, great thing. But the deal between Universal and AMC was not something that AMC would want to do. This is AMC with their backs against the wall, desperate, having to agree to whatever Universal says because they want to stay alive. And the people that there were people in our industry saying that this is going to benefit theatrical distribution, and this is the next step to something greater. And anyone who's naysaying it is, being ridiculous. And literally 2 days later, it was Universal admitting oh yeah, we're not really looking at smaller budget titles anymore. We're really just going to focus on the big. And it's just this is the reality. I know we all want things quicker and stuff like that, but consumerism does not benefit the consumer ever.
It's the sad reality But then I'm also thinking, like, I don't want any of these companies to go under. It's like one of the most upsetting things about the Fox Disney merger to me was that we lost one of the big six. That means we get a more narrowly focused selection of content to pick from. It's like, yeah, they kept certain arms of Fox up and running to a degree, but we're still getting like less diverse content because of it. And that's a bummer. And I don't want to see any of these companies go under. So I understand the pivoting that needs to happen right now. It's just, certain movies, especially if we're talking about movies screened at theaters, are going to get sacrificed.
Like the Alien franchise, like the Alien movies that are coming out, that was Fox, right?
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah, so like I don't trust a Disney Alien movie. I trust the Fox Alien movies when they were separate, and now that like you get title or like projects and larger projects and titles like this under the Disney umbrella, it's no. Like Disney's going to be like, we don't need this right now. We don't need to do this. It's no. Monopolies are not good for like the greater anything.
Well, the other weird thing that all of this is like tiptoeing closer to is like the old way of Hollywood. Like there's reasons that studios can't own theater chains, but I mean, isn't a streaming service essentially like a digital theater chain?
Yes, it is.
In a sense. Weird.
And aren't they trying to buy like theaters too? Didn't like Netflix or someone buy a LA-based theater?
Got the Egyptian.
Yep, they got the Egyptian.
I don't know how far along they are with like getting things up and running at this point, but they did.
But like to me though, like something like Netflix getting a theater, I'm more okay with because it's Netflix who is only going to stream their stuff now owning a theater who can at least put certain titles in where versus Disney doing it.
I think that was part of the reason why they did it too, in order to adhere to Academy rules and things like that, and have parties and have a space for premieres and all that stuff. But
yeah, also the Paramount consent decrees were removed today. That actually is like a new development.
Cool.
Thank you for reminding me, MK Songbird. I saw that news hit and I didn't actually have time to dig into it, but that's actually official now.
I'm gonna try to look it up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like so out of the loop on movie news right now because I haven't had internet.
No,
and
totally.
every time I go to my street corner, I'm checking Slack and emails and texting.
I mean, I'm getting ready for Fantasia Film Festival, so I've been cramming content in. So
imagine. Just for anyone who wants like the general on that, I'm reading from the Hollywood Reporter right now. After nearly 3/4 of a century being the quiet influence on how Hollywood operated, the Paramount consent decrees are officially over. On Friday, a New York federal judge granted a motion picture by the U.S. Department of Justice to terminate the movie industry's long-lasting licensing rules. So it's been in effect since the 1940s, when the government pursued a major antitrust action against film studios, which in those days were vertically aligned with national theater chains. Wow. I need to dig in a lot more.
I was going to say, give that the 2-sentence summary.
Where? Which part do you want
just
me to
here. Oh, just everything. Give it the two, because I see a few people saying like, dumb it down there. Yeah, give it a dumbed down version.
Oh, I'm reading this for the first time now.
No, yeah. Oh, okay.
All right. So as a result of the Supreme Court's 1948 decision, the studios had to divest themselves of their exhibition holdings. A court-approved settlement then established rules governing the licensing relationship between certain studios, such as Paramount and Warner Brothers, and theater owners. Other studios, such as the Walt Disney Company, weren't part of the original case, but have never... Oh, it just updated.
Wait, it just updated?
I lost my spot. I think because like a video ad appeared and then disappeared, and now shit's gone.
Anyway, the general gist of it is studios and these companies should not be able to have total control over what gets put out into the public. That it should be a different party deciding what shows, how it shows, and in what theaters, which is fair because Disney had that allowance would only show Disney movies, and every other company could go fuck themselves. I mean, like that's just where it is. So we had laws preventing that, and now we don't anymore because everything is terrible.
Boy, things are going to be so different in 2021. So the other news story that I caught in the chat that I looked up as I saw it pop up was Red Hood saying this. Do you know what that means?
Site B confirmed for Dominion. Wait, for Jurassic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was looking it up.
I didn't know that. I did not see that.
I'm looking at MovieWeb right now, and get ready to return to Site B. There's this photo that says, and it's like a metal thing that says InGen, of course, and Site B, Isla Sorna. So unless that's like an old piece of tech that exists in a different location, like the return to Site B is very interesting to me, especially because Jurassic World is all about the reboot of the events and the park on Isla Nublar. Like, returning to Site B is something that would feel a little fresher to me in the Jurassic World section of the franchise. And the Site B stuff is also interesting too, because it might connect with like the biosyn element and just, you know, all of the like the corporate battles that could be going on to get their hands on the tech, because Isla Nublar was the park. Isla Sorna was where everything was created. That's where all of like the guts of the operation are. So if we're returning there, I don't know, like maybe we could be digging into some of the stuff that I think is missing from the 2 Jurassic books that I've been longing for.
That's fair. Yeah, and I mean, even just getting the little Sam Neill tease of his hat. He just took a picture of his hat and posted it. And like, even that dumbass picture got me giddy. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait.
I didn't miss that. When I was on my street corner scrolling, that caught my eye. I freaking love it.
But I have a question, or not a comment here. Am I the only one from Travis Earl? Am I the only one who thought Fallen Kingdom was pretty fun? No, I dig Fallen Kingdom.
I think it's good. I was very hard on the second half of Fallen Kingdom, and I still to this day, I prefer the first half of Fallen Kingdom that takes place on the island to the second half, because I think like the sheer stupidity of 1, putting dinosaurs in a mansion, and 2, auctioning them off at a base price for $4 million is just flat out stupid. But the ideas that they're getting at there do interest me quite a bit. And I think the way J.A. Bayona films the haunted house dinosaur type
so good. It
is very good.
It's the closest we have to a Dino Crisis movie, which is still a tremendous video game that will hopefully get adapted into cinematic property eventually. But yeah, I dig Fallen Kingdom a lot. I love the gothic horror at the back end. It's so much fun because you have the island adventure at first, and then you have a legitimately creepy Jurassic horror film on the back end. And that's the way it goes, and that's the way it's filmed. And I dig that so much because the books are so horrific themselves and lean into the horror far more than any of the movies do. I mean, they're mostly adventure films. I think the first Jurassic Park is still gravely dark in some scenarios. You have some really good tension scenes and terror scenes, but everything else goes largely like Lost World is all just adventure stuff. So I kind of really dig the back end of Fallen Kingdom because it gets back to the Crichton dread and doom and our like really horror related stuff.
The Raptor Field is very dark, and so is Peter Stormare's death scene by Compies. That's like vicious.
It is. Yeah, the blood coming out from under the log as like he screams.
It's also because it's just like it takes so long. It's not like a T-Rex just swallows you whole. He's like pecked to death by Compies.
You know what's happening behind it. You don't need to see it, and enough of that is there to give that tension. But on a random aside, I was just scrolling through Twitter like the last few days, just doing my thing, and 2 different video games are being kickstarted now with launches next year that are both dinosaur survival horror games in a world of like, one of them is like, you're just this guy whose family scientist goes missing and you go to investigate and like find your mother or something, but the island is like taken over by dinosaurs and natives. And it's like a survival horror game where you have these little base camps, but then you have to run around the world, stay alive, and avoid dinosaurs. And I'm like really into that. And then there's another one.
Did you see that? That was recorded.
That was the host Zoo monster.
That was recorded. Matt, I need a gif of that.
I will gift that later. In any case,
my parents are freaking out in the other room.
Wait, did you lose power? Wait, you lost power.
This is what keeps happening. We're fortunate enough to have a generator that's hooked up to a lot of things in the house, but the generator has not been operating properly. But like that kept happening on Tuesday during the junkets nonstop, but only when I was in hospitality, never when I was
recording. Nice.
The fact that it's like I think my face during that wasn't so much like I'm scared what's going on. It was like it's happening. Thank God.
It's happening again and it's on camera.
I got so excited.
In any case, by the time the new Jurassic comes out, we should have 2 new like survival horror like dinosaur video games, which I'm like so stoked on. We haven't had anything like that in a while, and I can't wait. I know you're still in your little zone over there.
I'm in the zone now. I really am. We should talk about our second big news story of the week, though.
Sure.
Nia DaCosta is the director of Captain Marvel 2. I say that with weird force in my voice because all I want to do is scream yes, yes, yes over and over and over again. So I don't want to steal this idea because Matt Goldberg pointed it out to me, and it did cross my mind when this news broke. Mm-hmm. The fact that Marvel is bringing her on to helm a film like Captain Marvel 2 has to bode well for the movie that she made that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah, I don't think that's a specific thing that's specific to Goldberg or anything. I mean, that's the first thing I thought too. Yeah,
I'm always like I never want to like come across like I have heard.
Oh yeah, you're not stealing. No, you're stealing.
On is like purely my own thought.
Yeah, 10,000%. That's the first thing I thought when I saw that news going, oh, your movie that's not even out yet, you have this next gig? Yeah, no, this is going to be good. We're in good hands.
You know, the folks at Marvel had to have seen that. And
yeah.
Heck yeah. It's like a 1-2 punch of good stuff. Like you're seeing someone who deserves an opportunity actually get it. And I just love the idea of Marvel, one of the biggest of the big, one of the biggest cinematic universes out there. Something that gets that much visibility has so much power to change things for the better. And the fact that they are actually doing it now, like, I want to applaud them. I'm going to spill my beer right now. Cannot applaud them enough for this.
Yeah, when I tweeted it, I was just like, oh, hell yeah. Like, that's all you need to say. Like, it's everything bodes well in the right ways. It says the right message. And I am 10,000% here for Nia DaCosta's Captain Marvel.
I want Candyman now.
I know. I really want Candyman. I think we'll get it on VOD. I think we're okay to say that it's going to go VOD.
I hope it's sooner rather than later. And I shouldn't complain. It feels greedy to complain because I'm inundated with material right now. Like I don't have enough time to get through all the stuff I want to watch.
Man, I am writing like 6 reviews a week, and it is just like content is not slowing down because of this. I keep saying that. Like content is still coming out like crazy.
The one thing that I really wanted to watch more of that I haven't had the opportunity to do yet is have I ever told you about Wunmi Masako? I'm like I want to be president of her fan club. She's just okay. I had never really like flagged her as a huge talent until I was completely blown away by what she did in the movie Sweetness in the Belly. Have you ever heard of that?
That was
the moment that that was the movie that got a lot of shit from, folks who hadn't seen it, judging Dakota Fanning's in that. Dakota Fanning's character in that. Both of them are very good in it. But after I saw that, I'm like, write her name on all the lists. She is going to blow up and is just so crazy talented. But I was lucky enough to get to do an episode of Collider Ladies Night with her. And one, she's lovely, and it was it really meant a lot to me to get to talk to someone I admire so much about her experience, figuring out she needed to be an actor, also how it was for her coming up in Hollywood. But I forgot where I was going with this.
You were just gushing over. you were doing some gushing.
I don't know. But anyway, it's just it really excited me to get to have that conversation for someone who I am pretty sure is going to blow up when Lovecraft Country comes out. But also, speaking of Marvel, I think she does have a Loki thing on her IMDb. I mean, I never know when those things are fully accurate or based on rumors, but I had like a very like important point that I was making though that pertained to something you had said before. And I think I got all right, sorry, I know what this is. So
okay.
I'm sorry.
Grab a beer. You keep talking.
Okay. So the thing that I try to do with all of these Collider Ladies Night episodes is they're all about tracking someone's career from the source of inspiration to the newest project that they're promoting. So I try to watch as much of their stuff as humanly possible. And the thing that I had just started binging and then ran out of time for before we actually spoke was this show called Fearless with Helen McRory. And it is so good. But just like the point being, like that's like another thing that isn't even a current project that I am just so eager to have time to catch up on.
I am so busy, and yet once a week I find time to watch the new episode of Holy Moly because I have to.
What's your favorite Holy Moly obstacle?
It's hands down Uranus. I mean, whenever they go to Uranus, it's Rob Riggle trying to break Joe Tessitore, and it works every time. It's so funny. It's
kind of funny. My favorite part is when they do the porta potty thing and they just like slam into the wall. Has anybody ever ran past that?
I saw two people on the same episode, the same like golfers in this going head to head. So that's my question though. They say it's 2.5 seconds, and that's a long distance to run in 2.5 seconds. And the people that made it, I kind of feel like they gave them more than 2.5 seconds.
Matt, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that between the obstacles and the putting, I would be the ultimate Holy Moly competitor. Like I can
be good.
Shit. How do I get on that show? Can this episode of the Merri Hour be my audition? I'm calling you out, Holy Moly producers. Put me on that show. I'm a run.
We also have to be on Floor is Lava. I want to be on Floor is Lava so bad.
Floor is Lava quite bad.
I feel like we could have a solid athletic film crew team. I think that would.
So I have a question for you because I know this will pertain to you. So it came up because what is that?
Tangerine cream.
I'm so tonight.
I know. Sorry. I have a nice tangerine. I'm washing away the spicy jalapeno-ness.
Okay. I'd probably like that one, I think.
Ooh, it's like a creamsicle. Yeah, that's okay.
Orangey flavored.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a creamsicle.
So I posted a clip from my Sheila Van Ladies Night where like we just went off on a weird tangent talking about 90s cartoons from Nickelodeon. And someone on Twitter, I'm sorry I forget your handle right now, asked me what my favorite Nickelodeon game show was. Matt, I want to be on one of those Nickelodeon game show reboots more than you can imagine.
Which one, though? I have a specific answer here.
Okay, no. That was my question for you. If you could be on any old school Nick game show, what would you choose and why?
Nick Arcade. Easy Nick Arcade.
Wow. I don't know why I didn't think you were going that way.
Nick Arcade was like my go-to Nickelodeon game show growing up. I was addicted to it.
How did you feel about like Guts and Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Love Guts. I one of my running shirts is literally a silver snake shirt that I wore.
Okay.
We had a beer pong Olympics, and we didn't do it by nations. We got two teams. I was gonna say I got my silver snakes was for a beer pong Olympics, and we just picked the silver snakes and we dominated, of course.
I think we should commit to wearing our Legends of the Hidden Temple shirts next week.
I mean, mine is a running shirt that gets very disgusting. So I'm gonna say no. Hold on. I'm wearing my voting shirt for next year. Vote Jackie Daytona, regular human bartender. A vote for Jackie Daytona is a vote for human bartenders everywhere.
I'm still gonna wear
human bartender.
If I had to pick a Nickelodeon game show, though, like my top would probably be Guts. I think I'd be really good at that.
Guts is good.
I liked Guts a lot, but I also like Legends of Hidden Temple.
Does that include like what was the? Oh wait, Double Dare, is that Nickelodeon?
Yeah, but Double Dare is something different. I'm
trying to think of other ones. I'm just trying to think of like because like Nick Arcade is the one in my heart, but I'm trying to think of like what else it could be.
There's like what's the one that Amanda Bynes used to host?
Well, there was like Figure It Out, but that wasn't like that was the one where you
That does sound
where
familiar.
like the conveyor belt would come with different things, and it was like Danny Tamborelli and all these people. I don't know. How did we get here? How did we get here?
Can we get this going? Seriously, just go spam Holy Moly ABC and get me on it. So
I'm waiting for you to like, wait, hold on. It's going to happen one time. You're going to vanish and then appear in my box. And I'm going to be like, what the fuck?
The scary thing is, like, I don't know what would happen to the StreamYard. Like, would it end on its own? Because, like, I have to click
it'd be like purgatory. I'd be stuck in the StreamYard forever and I could never escape. And this is my hell.
Horror movie concept. I can't get over it. What were we talking about?
I don't know. Nickelodeon shows. Oh, Carmen Sandiego was a fun one. I used to watch the World of Carmen Sandiego too. That wasn't Nick, but
I also really want to be on Wheel of Fortune, and I really want to be on the Leslie Jones hosted Supermarket Sweep.
I want to be on. Yeah, no, that's a good one. I'm trying to think. I want to get better at cooking and then do Guy Fieri's grocery games. I just want to like up my cooking game and do that shit.
You should do, if Quibi exists ever again, you should be on Dishmantled.
What is it? Dishmantled?
Oh, have you not?
I don't watch Quibi. No, I don't fucking watch Quibi.
Okay. Pull back on the snark a little. So I know Quibi is an utter disaster right now. I don't want the platform's failure to color the quality of the content, because like, I'm fully being serious right now. I don't think Quibi is going to last very long, and I think it's a completely failed effort. But some of the content that was created for that platform is legit good, and it's just like, it's unfortunate.
It's not the content's fault. That's the thing. It's not the content's fault. It was a terrible idea and business model, and the people in charge of it don't know what to do with it.
I don't even know if it was a terrible idea. I just think that the release, one, was met with unforeseen challenges, and two, like, maybe wasn't even structured the best possible way to begin with. But that's besides the point. Dishmantled. So what it is, it's basically a Quibi cooking show. So super short form content. And what they do is they have two contestants and they place them both in front of their own food cannon. And a dish is like blown into their faces, and they have a select amount of time to eat it, like the food, off themselves and off the wall. And whoever creates the recipe, recreates it the most accurately, wins.
No.
It's genius.
I'm not going to let a Quibi show shoot food in my face.
But watch the show. It is.
I'll watch it. I'll go find it.
Hands down, one of the best things I watched on Quibi.
Go find it. All right. I am skeptical of how, like, do I have to have no shame to go on this show where I just let them blow me in the face with a bunch of food? Like, what?
Ian, I did watch the show. I watched.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it was always Supermarket Sweep and then Shop to Drop. So I definitely remember that quite well. I don't know how to end this because we're not playing beer pong and I'm very confused, but I guess I'll put out the last call for questions. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
Yeah, tell us what to talk about. We can talk about anything.
If you guys have any last minute stuff.
Oh wait, can I just recommend really quick a movie?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I watched La Llorona this week, which is premiering on not The Curse of La Llorona, that has come out already, right, in the Conjureverse. The new La Llorona is fantastic. It's very comparable to Under the Shadow and Tiger's Not Afraid, where it takes folklore from another country, the Weeping Woman tale from Latin American folklore and stuff, and it's so good in the way that it works it into a Guatemalan specific trauma, we'll say. It's something that's very cultural and representative. It's also just really artistic horror. It's super unsettling. And watch La Llorona on Shudder, and do not confuse it with the Curse of La Llorona, because La Llorona, just that title, is redemption. And that's it. A
good pitch right there, Matt.
That's it.
Here, I feel like we should just readdress this really quickly for the Horde.
Yeah.
We're not playing beer pong because my house right now is running off of a generator, and the power and the internet connection has not been super stable. So we're like keeping things like still and safe right now. So
And also, like, you didn't have like power.
Oh,
So,
I
like legitimately didn't have power. Yeah.
So it's like when I texted you early, Matt, we had absolutely nothing, and I didn't want Joe in particular to like commit to a thing tonight just for me to be like, I can't do it. So that is the reason why, but it will be back. The estimate based on, I think it's called PSEG, like whatever the Long Island Power Company
PSEG.
is.
Yeah, PSEG.
Apparently is like botching the fix from this storm right now. Their current estimate for us is to have power restored by Sunday late afternoon.
Oh, nice.
I can't believe it's taken this long, though.
My family in Jersey is in the same boat, so you're not alone. But yeah, go ahead.
Not have power.
Oh, my family in Jersey has been out since like Tuesday. Yeah, since like Tuesday. My mom said, and they still don't have it. So it's a lot of places.
Maybe I shouldn't blame the power company, and I should just give, like the storm a little more credit as far as how destructive it really was. It's just
Perri, give the storm its credit.
But like, were you were here for Sandy?
Oh yeah, I was 11 days out.
Oh my God, like Sandy knocked power out for a very, very long time. And that was a storm that was really like built up, and it was here for a while. This was something that blew in and out, or it felt like it blew in and out of the area in 2 to 3 hours. That's why I'm like so surprised. But anyway, we have this super chat from Andrew. If and when Quibi dies, does the content vanish forever? I don't know the answer to that question, but my facial response here, hopefully, it tells you guys how scary that would be to me, because these are, uniquely formatted films and shows that people pour just as much time, energy, and passion into. I hope they find life somewhere else.
Is there a way to like cut them together and maybe put them on Netflix? I'm just thinking if like Netflix buys one of these programs and they just cut things together into chunks of like episodes versus a Quibi episode being like 8 minutes and a Netflix episode being like 30-40. I'm wondering if they can do that.
Given how much money Quibi spent on everything, like I get the feeling like if negotiations like that started, that the Quibi price tag would be too high and not worth this time.
I disagree. I think if and when Quibi dies, as Andrew has so eloquently put, they will want to recoup as much money as possible, and you're going to have a buyer's market. I think that's what you're going to have.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would recommend if that happened. In particular, Don't Look Deeper. I think that in the end was probably one of my favorite things that I watched. I'll give you one right now, Matt.
Go ahead.
How you like that?
Yeah. Well, of course it is. After last week, I need anything I can take right now. I got demolished last week, and me and Pachulo were ready to come back full force. I was giving you a very good partner, though, from my past as well, and your past.
I know, and I was looking forward to seeing him again, too.
Well,
but
that's next week.
When I won't waste everyone's time with a possible power outage. But, Matt, we've got some off-camera hanging out and chatting to do.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug? Good night to everyone.
I mean, just the usual stuff. Like, follow me on Twitter at Donatobomb. Blah, 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 blah. I run a site called Certified Forgotten and a podcast. It's pretty cool. You should listen to us. We're fun.
Guys, I don't care about plugging anything except for the wonderful GIF Matt is going to make me of my lights flickering, and you can see that on Twitter or Instagram at Bean Emerald. That's legit all I care about right now. And my one name is
don't worry.
These nights. Please check that out when it comes out closer to Lovecraft Country's debut, which I believe is on the 16th, because I think she's wonderful and you should learn more about her. All right, we're out of here. Guys, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Another belated happy birthday to Evan and another happy birthday to Christy. Guys.
Oh wait, I'll do a birthday shot for them.
I love it. Guys, if I had whiskey, I would do the same. I'll take a swig for you.
Happy birthday. That was for you.
Happy birthday, guys.